You may have gone to a park somewhere and found a gift shop that has a basket of arrowheads for sale, something like this. And these are fun items that are being sold for people to take home. They're not pretending that these are going to be real artifacts. These are just something to take home for the kids to make a necklace or to have some fun. One of the things that archaeologists don't mind about these being sold in the gift shops is that we can easily recognize them as not being real artifacts. However, sometimes they will be given to somebody who has a real collection of artifacts and they will get mixed in with those. We end up with this collection, and all of a sudden we have some beautiful artifacts that definitely came from the region, and then we have some other artifacts that we're pretty sure are not, that these are coming from these tourist gift shops. So I want to talk today about what makes these kinds of items not the same as our original real artifacts from the past. So a gift shopped item, one of the key factors about it is it doesn't have a lot of flaking. There might be a little bit of flaking just on a few of the edges. And the back is usually smooth. They're making these on a flake. And so all they're really doing is touching up some of the edges to make it into that kind of stereotypical arrowhead shape. There might be a few notches at the bottom that are often drilled in rather than actually being chipped. If we look at this in cross section, if we can see how this actually looks as you're looking through it in line, it's got a curvature. If I compare that to a real artifact, it's going to be a very different. The genuine artifact is going to be symmetrical on both sides of the midline. It's going to be pretty neatly aligned because otherwise it's not going to work as a projectile point. These are going to tend to have a curvature to them because the original flake had a curvature to it. If I look at the tip, the cross section of that tip, you can just kind of see how that is set in there. It is really very thick. It's not shaped, and it's very hard to shape the flake of one of those. If I look at my real artifact, it will have a nice pointed tip. The point has to do what it's supposed to do, and it's going to be a different shape. The cross section, looking at it on end, from this end, we see is kind of a lenticular, nice cross section. The gift shop artifact is really kind of a lopsided, irregular cross section, really not a very nice lens. It's not shaped that way at all. It doesn't have any of the flaking to get it there. We also notice that most of the time, these kinds of materials are being made out of something that's pretty, it's shiny. A lot of times they're using obsidian. Most places, obsidian is not being found in the real archaeological records. So if I find something of obsidian, I'd be really suspicious. Most of the local artifacts are made out of material that quite often isn't as pretty. It wouldn't have made as pretty of an artifact, but it's the real thing. This is what the people actually had access to, what they were actually working. A lot of these original artifacts will have had a patina on them, will have some sort of weathering on them because they've been in the ground for a couple thousand years. If there's a fresh break on it, it will show as a very different pattern. That patina might break off. The gift shop artifacts don't have that kind of a patina on them. They all look the same. And if I were to break this now, it would look exactly the same. It didn't have any weathering on it. Our ancient artifacts will be made in particular styles, in particular shapes that match how people were making projectiles over time. And so we can look at some of them and say, okay, this has a particular shape. It's different from the shape of another kind of an artifact. I can recognize those. These gift shop artifacts tend to be kind of irregularly the stereotypical triangle with some notches on it. So there's a lot of distinctive attributes that we can say this one probably isn't real. Now you might say, well, couldn't there actually have been somebody in the past who was just experimenting, maybe a kid who was learning, and they just made one of these? And sure, that could have happened. How we would know is by context. If I found this in good context, in an archaeological site, in a deposit that had other artifacts, similar artifacts to this, I could say, yes, this is somebody experimenting with something. But the vast majority of the time, that's not what we do. We find these, even if we don't find them in the basket in the gift shop, we find them in collections that people have accumulated that probably represent points that people gave them. Oh, I know that you're collecting here. Here's some fun stuff I picked up on my travels. And so the context for the real artifacts comes from real archaeological sites. The context from these usually comes from unknown sources that would ultimately have been traced down to a tourist shop somewhere. So when you find an artifact, it quite often is not perfect. Most of our real artifacts may be very, very well flaked, but they're often broken. Why would you throw away a perfectly good artifact? So even if you find something like this, it's a pretty material. It might be a prettier material than some of our real artifacts, but it's not a genuine artifact. It's a fun item to buy in the gift shop.